Yo YouTube, what's up? I'm Tim and this is the Cash Kelly and AC Sports Report. So today I have a very interesting topic that I think a lot of people are going to want to get into. But first, I'm going to ask you not to just look at the title. Watch this video from the first second to the last second. Watch every point I make and listen. The Tampa Bay Rays, who were eliminated in the playoffs last night, are now likely to face the point where they're just going to lose all. They're going to lose Carlos Pena, Carl Crawford, Rafael Soriano, a bunch of these guys to free agency because they just can't afford it. That's what it comes down to. They cannot afford the team. And their owner basically came out the other day and said, yeah, we're going to have massive pay cuts next season, which I think is a complete ridiculous thing. But the question I'm posing to you, and I'll make this sports question of the week. I haven't done one of those in a while. I will make this the sports question of the week. These are always topics you guys like to get into. But does the MLB need a salary cap? Have you had enough? But listen to the points I make. Maybe it will change you. And if not, I want to hear why. I like to talk. I like to listen to other sides of the argument. And if I say something, I'm not arguing with you. I'm trying to understand as best as possible. Now, here's the points I'm going to make. I'm not in favor of adding a salary cap. Here's why. First of all, the teams that are the bad teams, the Pirates and the Royals, make it look like every single small market team hasn't and can't win. Yet, we see these teams like the Rays, the Twins, the Marlins, the Rockies, who have been... The Rockies were in the World Series, they've been back to the playoffs. The Rays were in the World Series, they've been back to the playoffs. The Marlins have won World Series, they choose not to pay money. That's their issue. The Twins are consistently in the playoffs. No matter what, the Twins are in the playoffs. And they've locked up guys like Mauer and Morneau. So what it comes down to for me is if you are a good team, fans come to the stands, you make money off that, and you can afford to keep the players. But my next point is, you guys have to show up. If you're a Tampa Bay Rays fan, which I don't know a lot of, if you're a Tampa Bay Rays fan and you're complaining that you're going to lose Carl Crawford and all them, then you better have season tickets. Because if you're not going to pay to go to see the team, then you're helping in him leaving and going to the Yankees, Red Sox, Tigers, Angels, whatever team he ends up with. So if you're going to complain, then you better be one of those people out there loudly cheering every night. Because why would you want to play in Tampa Bay or Florida? Why? The fans don't show up. The teams aren't very consistent. I mean, they win, but they're not consistent. The Rays were terrible the first 15 years of their existence. So, I mean, some of these complaints are silly to me. Now, I by no means am a Yankees fan. But I do get tired of the argument, oh, the Yankees bought the World Series. No, the Yankees did not buy the World Series. The Yankees have a lot of money. If you have a lot of money, chances are you're going to spend it. And when they made that issue about the Rangers going out and getting people at the deadline when they had no ownership, that was a joke in my mind because they need to get the value up of the Rangers for someone to buy them. No one wants to go into a crap team. And the Rangers are one of those teams that has never really been all that good. They needed to make that a good team. Baseball did a good job with that. They kept parity, because if Cliff Lee goes to the Yankees, the season's over. That's what I said then, and I stick to that clearly now if you're watching these playoffs. But even if they put a salary cap in, the good players are still going to want to go to the Yankees. It's not going putting a salary cap in isn't going to make people want to go to the Royals and the Pirates. What these teams don't get and what the fans don't get is that you have to win first. You have to build through your farm system, and it takes a good 5-10 years, a good draft every single year, and the money needs to be put into the drafts, not your bench coach and a bunch of other stuff. Get cheap coaches, and when the team's ready to be good, then you go out and get a good coach. But for me, I look at this and I just laugh when people say this because it's so uneducated. Because really, they base it off the Royals and the Pirates. Two teams that have sucked for a long time, that were good. Really, they were great franchises at different times. The Royals in the early 80s, the Pirates in the late 80s, early 90s were almost a dynasty. So for me, I don't understand what difference putting in a salary cap's gonna make. You think Derek Jeter would say, "Nah, man, I can't stay here for this amount of money. I'm gonna go play because the Pirates are offering me more money." I mean, I just don't think everyone thinks these things out, and I don't think it's gonna change people. Another team that's been in the playoffs, the Brewers. I mean, there are examples of teams that have been in the playoffs that are considered small market teams. And I know I'm not trying to be a homer here, but the Phillies have a pretty good example. They did everything right. They drafted well. They got good coaches, both Larry Bowa and Charlie Manuel. And their payroll, probably like 10, 12 years ago, was at $40 million. Today, it stands at a little over $140 million. Here's what they did. They got a good team that people wanted to go see. They got a beautiful new stadium that people wanted to go to. They did everything right. They got a team out there that people want to watch, and they win. And they don't stop winning. And you have to win games by the team you build up in your farm system. That's what it comes down to. These people that complain and say, "Oh, well, he's leaving after the 6th year." This is the life of a small market team. You compete for 6 years, and then the guy leaves. You get the draft picks. You keep filling the players in, which is what the Rays are doing. Like, the Rays, Joe Madden said last night, we'll be back in the playoffs next year. I don't doubt that. I mean, I don't know. I got to see what the Red Sox do. It's going to be an interesting offseason. I think that the Blue Jays and the Orioles are two teams that are going in the right direction. So I have to see what happens in the playoffs. But what it comes down to for me is that these teams are good teams, and then they get blamed because the Pirates and the Royals suck. Fine. Take the Pirates and the Royals out of baseball. Pittsburgh's a great sports city, and the problem does not lie at all with the fact that there's no salary cap. It lies that the owner doesn't want to spend the money to put a good team. All these owners pocket money, maybe not in Florida, but 90% of these owners that are on small market teams pocket money, and they choose not to spend it. Is that the MLB's fault that there's no salary cap? I don't think so. I think it has a lot more to do with the fact that these owners don't want to spend money. So here's what I say. You bring in the owners. If they can't put up an $80, $90 million payroll, then they shouldn't be allowed. Because none of this $20 million payroll where teams have a player making more than an entire team. It's silly. It's garbage. It's a joke. And another example. The Rays just lost to the Rangers. They're a small market team, aren't they? They're going well in the playoffs. The Giants aren't they have like a what, $80-some million payroll? That's not huge. Like, the people that say you need a salary cap in baseball don't look at this stuff. They just said, "Oh, well, look at the bad teams in baseball." What team besides the Pirates and the Royals over the last 10 years hasn't like contended? Because I sure can't think of any. Every team has contended, or they've spent money and they've spent it the wrong way. Like the Orioles and the Mariners. Those two teams have spent money, so that's not that they're a small market team. That's that they just don't know how to spend the money right. Here's what you got to do in baseball. You got to bring in a good mix of veterans and bring up the rest through your farm system, because championships are won through your farm system. Look at the Yankees. The core of that team, with the exception... Well, no, okay. A lot of that team. Rivera, Jeter, Posada... A lot of the keys to those 96 to 2000 runs were from the farm system. Look at the Phillies. Howard, Utley, Rollins, Hamels. The list goes on. Victorino. Well, Victorino wasn't drafted by them. But you have to make small moves like that. Shane Victorino was picked up in the minor leagues. He wasn't doing anything. Look where he's ended up. Jason Worth, his career was considered over. They picked him up. Look where he ended up. Like, what it comes back to for me is that these teams are going to blame the fact that their owners don't spend money on MLB. Like that Marlins guy, whoever the president of that team is. He's so outspoken. Every winter meetings, he's like, "Oh, well, it's not fair that the Yankees get to this." Well, go to your lazy owner and say, "You know what? Teams can put up a $200 million payroll. We're building a brand new stadium that's 200 some, however much it costs." That leads me to think that you might have some money. You purchased an MLB team. Maybe, just maybe, you have a little cash lying around that you're just not spending on this team. Now, those teams think that they can just go out there every year and do nothing but trade good players away and get the young players, compete for 2 years, and then repeat that cycle. That's not how it works. You can bring up players through your farm system, and I'm all for when it gets to the point where they're going to be gone, trading them. But to me, at least, you got to go out there every night, put together a good lineup of veterans, put together a good lineup of 34-year-olds, 38-year-olds, 28-year-olds, 25-year-olds, and maybe even the occasional 22, 21-year-old. So, these owners in baseball are probably going to say it again. They're going to say, well, we need to add a salary cap. But think, is that going to make players not want to go to the Yankees every time anyway? There's better solutions. And I think a lot of it lies within the man who sits in the box at those stadiums. So vote on this question on here or on KelstarBreakingNews.webs.com. I'm Tim. Find me on Twitter, CashKellyNAC, Facebook, CashKellyNAC Sports Report, YouTube, Mr. Kelstar, any site you want to find me. I want to hear your thoughts on this. This is an interesting debate. I'm Tim. Catch you guys later.